about how to turn your biggest complainers into your biggest champions. And it's primarily based on a bunch of case studies from real stuff that we've dealt with other Inbox and launching that over the past 2 years. I'm going to give a bunch of examples, like real examples, and generally they're not all examples of everything going right. In fact, a lot of them are from early on when we were just getting started, and we've learned a lot since then. But I find it's often easier to you learn more from the things that weren't done right than necessarily the things that all worked out perfectly. So you'll have to bear with me as we go through those. So first, I guess, wanted to ask you guys, how do you hear from your customers now? Like, how do you find out when there are problems or hear from customers? Anybody?
Email.
They email you, right?
We use Get Satisfaction.
Big fan of Get Satisfaction. That's a good way to find out about it.
I work in B2B, so they pick up the phone.
They call you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, hey, I got a problem, right? Anybody else?
I initiate it a lot of times. But
You're the one
it's not-
calling?
Yeah, I'm the one.
Yeah.
How's it going in between them? Might be email, might be Twitter.
Maybe you have customers you see in person and they say something. Sometimes there's like little feedback cards they can fill out, things like that, right? So there's lots of different ways that you can get feedback. Most of the time, it's one-on-one. Most of the time, it's not done in public. So why would you want to post your problems in public? Why would you want to deal with customer service or people complaining about things in public? Wouldn't you want to just shuffle that off somewhere private, right? And not talk about it in front of everybody if you're having a problem? That's kind of the conventional wisdom. But I think it's not true. I think today that for most businesses, you can really benefit a lot from talking about your problems in public, and there's a lot of different ways. First of all, you can just save time. It's less repetitive, right? Like if I answer someone's question or problem in public, then I don't have to answer it again. Kind of like we were just saying about the video, right? The next time somebody asks about it, you just be like, hey, go look over here. I just answered that question for somebody. And so I don't have to say it over again. In fact, maybe they go find it by themselves without ever even asking me. It creates search engine juice, right? Like you're creating content, all kinds of content, right? And it's content about your product, and it's people asking questions, and it's getting submitted from different places, and it's creating inbound links. And so, it's a great way to create dynamic content, which is going to, increase your search engine rankings and get more people to find you. Sometimes you don't have to answer all the questions, which is really cool. Like one of the things we've learned is we try not to actually answer people's questions whenever we can, but try to get our customers to answer them for them, because then it's even cooler and it's more credible, and it's less work for us. Your customers sometimes will defend you. If somebody says something really unreasonable or mean or whatever that's mean-spirited, you can be defensive and you can go try to defend yourself, but that looks defensive. But a lot of times, one of your other customers will speak up and defend you, and then that looks better than you doing it, and they'll often even do a better job of it, and it can really be a good benefit. And finally, all of that comes together to help you attract new customers. All those things that we just talked about create a great experience and something that's publicly visible, and a lot of customers will see that you are responsive, that you listen to what your customers are saying, that you actually deal with problems and things like that, and give you a lot of credit for it. And in a lot of ways, it can help you to attract new customers and to create a lot of goodwill for your company.
Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Sorry for the audio video. We did a lot of setup just to get that one little audio quote in there. But it's a great quote from Yoda, but it's very true here. A lot of people are just afraid of doing this. They're afraid, what if somebody says something bad about me? What if somebody, complains about this? What if somebody calls me a name? What if they ask a question I don't have a good answer to? And because of that, they back off of this. And I agree with Yoda that you shouldn't be afraid of it. You need to kind of open up and get used to it. And hopefully, through some of these examples, you can see ways that it can work out for you. So you saw this slide before. This is our other inbox page. And if you look closer than just seeing that it's all at replies, it's generally, this particular snapshot is us responding to people complaining about problems that we had. This was on a day when we were particularly having a problematic day. And so the top one says, hey, thanks for letting us know, Earl. We had some performance issues earlier today, but I think we got a handle on it. And the next one says, tell someone where they can find some messages. You can find them in the deleted folder. Oh, we see that too. Sorry for the performance issues. We're working on it. Thanks for letting us know. So you can see that as people are reporting problems, we're responding to all those. And so when somebody comes to our webpage, somebody who had Yoda Sphere in them might look at this and go, oh no, people are going to see this and they're going to realize that you guys aren't perfect. You have problems, right? Like, oh no, what if a new customer comes and they see that you're dealing with all these problems? And I don't know, that's not really my take on it. Like when I see something like this, I think, wow, they respond to all the people that talk to them. Because I know everybody has problems, right? And they're not just sending out like marketing emails and blasts and like sending me stupid links. Like they're actually talking to their customers. And like that makes me feel really good about it. And I think that's one way that it helps us to attract customers and make it a good experience. So I'd like to go through a couple examples of particular customers that reached out to us or that we reached out to as we were starting Other Inbox, and that make kind of show the progression of people saying things and how we responded to them and how I think we generally turned each of these things to our advantage. So here's our first one. This was probably right around, this is very early on after we launched. This wasn't the first day. There's one I heard from the first day. But this was probably a few weeks into it. And it says, thanks for being a browser bigot and logging me out of my email account. I'll be sure to tell everyone about my experiences. Right? Like this is like the tweet like nobody wants to see about their product when they go sign up. So we write back to them. This was me at the time. Although since then, Hoon, who's sitting up front, has taken over most of these jobs and does actually a much better job of it than me, as you will see in some of these other examples. But I write back a little bit defensive here. I should have been more like, the first step is just like, hey, thanks for telling us your feedback, blah, blah, right? But I was a little bit defensive. Like, hey, we work with IE7, IE8, Firefox 2, Firefox 3, Safari, and Chrome. What browser are you trying to use, right? Like, I'm thinking like, we do work with all the browsers. New PC, haven't had time to install or upgrade yet, so I'm still running IE6. Everybody loves IE6. Had to use the old PC with Camulon, 233 megahertz, blah, 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 36K dial-up. This was like last year. She's on 33K dial-up. The nags and Chameleon are bad enough, but locking me out with IE, come on now, no reason for that. It's my email you're holding hostage. Like, so we're now, we're intentionally keeping her from getting her email. So we write back, and at least we had now, hey, sorry, this is like one of the most common phrases we respond. Sorry to hear about that. That sounds frustrating. Right? Like, and it sounds cheesy, but at some level it's like, hey, you know what? We're listening, and that's actually what people mostly want to hear. Wow, you actually, you heard what I had to say, and you're recognizing my problem, right? So that's our most common start to any comment. Unfortunately, our site relies heavily on JavaScript and CSS that won't work on IE6. So we're like, I'm really sorry about that, but ain't no chance. This isn't going to work on IE6. We're planning on a simple HTML version of the site, should work in older browsers. Please vote for it here. We try to like give them like, that's the thing I love about Get Satisfaction is you can kind of give them an outlet. Like, even though they complained about it and you talked to them about it, here's somewhere you can go vote for it. And like they vote for it, they feel like they did something, right? Like I voted for it, the number went up. I count, I matter, and now I can forget about it and go do other things. So it really helps in that way. She writes back, well, what would be even better would be a simple mobile version. Then you can kill two birds with one stone. So she's giving us suggestions. That's good. She's now being a little bit more positive. In the meantime, code for your users and not for yourself. If your users are running IE6, then that's what you code for. Right? We're like, oh. Of course, we're sitting here thinking like, so you're the only user on IE6, but that's definitely what we try to do. So far, you're the first person to request it, so please vote for it here, right? And she writes back, I'm not signing up to vote for anything, like I'd rather get my mail back and go to Gmail, screw you. And we write back, hey, sorry for the inconvenience. I created the suggestion and voted for it for you already, so don't worry about it. We'll plan on adding that as soon as we can, right? So now, what do you get out of this? If someone else comes and they see this conversation, we're being a little bit defensive. I wish that first comment we'd started with the just, sorry, let us make it better. But I hope that if somebody were to see this, they don't walk away with the impression that we suck for not supporting IE6, but actually that we're here and we're listening, that we have reasonable responses, that we pay attention to what people are saying, and that that we're trying to do the right thing. And I would hope that they get a good experience out of seeing that.